evening, good afternoon, good morning, and welcome to Now Chat Show. I'm your girl Kazmak, alongside my half co-host. We have Miss T in the building, and we have Kels in the building as well. So thank you for joining the platform. If it's your first time, welcome on board. And if you're catching a replay, welcome. And I hope you are having a wonderful 2023 so far. So just before we get into our conversation, Kels, I know you're going to be bouncing off soon, but we just thought we'd quickly have you here because obviously we want to have a quick discussion about something that we discussed behind the scenes. How is everybody doing today?
Oh, I'm great. Thank you.
Yeah, Kels, how you doing?
You said I can't hear you.
What do you mean you can't hear us? Can you hear me, Miss T?
Of course I can hear you.
So we can't hear you, then you need to do something to do in your side. Maybe come back on. All right, I'll take you out, Kels, and then come back on. One sec. Because I'm not sure what happened there. But Kels is going to come back on the show. He's just going to sort out his audio. Let's see what's going on. Can you hear us now?
Oh, man.
But we heard him clear just a minute ago. Try logging in again. Okay, well, thank you all for coming on today's show. Today, we're going to be talking about goal settings for 2023. We have the Black girl coach, financial coach. Her name is Andrea Corbett, who's going to be joining us very shortly. But we're going to try Kels one more time. One more time. Yes, we can hear you. Yes. All right. So, Kels, before we started, we was wrapping up with you. You were saying basically there's an issue. We've got like about 10 minutes, yeah? About some of the mans them is having a little problem. Could you kind of expand, like, if you can just let those who are listening live and those who are catching a replay, let them know what's really going on in the streets?
Okay, there are a few men, some amazing men that I do listen to and watch on YouTube. One of them is Andrew Tate. The other one is the late Kevin Samuels. Mm-hmm. Now, you know, these guys, when they talk facts, stats, you name it. Now, another guy called Jordan Peters. Now, this guy is he's a psychologist. He's very much out for men, encouraging men, and just basically just expressing the problems that we're having today with regards to relationships. And one thing he said that was shared in a male group that I am in called Men Talking. He said that men these days are in fear, not lacking in confidence, in fear of approaching women. Now, that's a very strong way of saying that someone is very scared, in fear. I mean, that fear is very much a real image. Now, I'm like you guys, you know, I'm old school, yeah? I'm into walking down the road, seeing a young lady. I'm a gentleman. So I'm not like, I ain't not like, hey, girl, come here. You know what I mean? You know, nice, see? You know, my size. I wasn't that brother, you get me? Gentle, man, you get me? And I don't know, I know they say that some women like more of the edgy guys. You know what I mean? I'm just a gentle guy. So I said, listen, I had to come and talk to you, know, because boy, I just had to start off, like, I might talk about something. I'm used to doing that. Approaching a lady. If I get rejected, I get rejected. That's just part of the game. You get me? Right? That was for me in the 90s. And that is not happening these days. It's more now, more online. People are speaking, which is cool. I don't have a problem with that. You can get into conversation, and if it goes well, then you make a date and you go and see that person. I'm now also used to doing that as well. But I have no issue approaching women on road and saying I had to come and talk to you. Although it's seldom used now these days. Not really something that's done a lot. But if you are in the right place, in the right time, whatever, you can do that, right? But they're not doing it. Guys are not doing that these days. They don't want to approach women. They're scared. They're frightened. But worse, they're in fear.
But that's false evidence appearing to be real, because fear is not even a real thing. It's something that...
false evidence appearing real.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right. Okay. But you say it's not real, but inside there, it actually could be. I
heard that, because I get that.
You know, and we all go through some sort of fear or some kind of fear. Yeah, we've all experienced that, but it's not. That's a very heavy word to use. And I had to challenge the men and said, "Are you sure it's the word fear? So
Yeah,
that's a
yeah.
very intense word.
So
to
are
use.
they feeling intimidated?
Intimidated? They are scared of rejection. What man you know is scared of rejection? That to me was news.
Yeah,
That's
but then
like,
I think it's society, how society's become. You know, like before,
right.
if you get rejected, you just take it as a, you know, a little
Yeah.
It's
dust and
practice.
sugar. But
It's
now
practice.
it's like but you know what it is? I think because we have become so, you know, like men have become very emotional, like they're able to express their emotions, etc., a lot more than back in the days. Back in the days, they maybe will cover it up, etc. And also, I think as well, and I'm not coming for us women, but I think some of us women have made it really quite hard for some of the mans them because of our approach. You know, if the man doesn't have a certain amount of money, or he's not looking a certain kind of way, or he doesn't push in a certain kind of whip, we more than likely will, you know what I mean, kind of skin up our face, or do you know what I mean, kind of thing. It's just like
Also,
women are
guys,
becoming a lot more masculine.
that was about, thank you. You hit the nail on the head. There's a lot of queens that are moving with masculine energy.
Yeah,
Right.
and I can't blame
You
them.
need to wind it in.
Yeah, we need to be girly, like, you know, like
Yeah.
I can't remember who I was speaking to. I was speaking to somebody, and they were just like talking about their partner and whatever. And I said, look, you know, like as a woman, you can get so much out of your man, but it's sometimes it's your approach. No, man, I have no time for that rare tear. And I'm thinking, but you're not gonna get the best out of your man if you're talking to your man in that way. Number one, just your approach. But I can understand why some women has become that way because of the disappointment from a lot of men. You know, so it's like we're kind of like all in a mess, because I feel like it's not just the man's them, it's the women as well. Why they're taking on that masculine energy, because the masculine energy that they thought they had in that man wasn't a masculine energy. The man was operating on some Ida energy. It wasn't even feminine. It's just like you weren't grinding with nothing. So it's like the woman has had to become this protector and everything.
Kaz, since the second wave of feminism, which was engineered, things have turned around immensely. So that has to be a study first before we start kind of throwing darts out there. Okay. There has been a massive shift. Yeah, men are becoming women, women are becoming men. Okay, right, and it's more so women becoming more like men, that masculine energy that you're talking about, and men don't like that. So to some regard, it's not really the men that have changed, it's the women.
Yeah, we've all changed. It's like nobody knows.
I mean, in a massive way. Women have changed in a massive way, because men, we want female energy. We can't do the masculine, right? And we're afraid if we really express how we feel about the masculine energy, we might just thump her down, and we know that ain't gonna work. Okay, literally, because we are males, we're men. So if you kind of come to us a certain way, we're like, hold on, why is this man coming to me? Oh no, it's my woman. Oh my gosh, I just knocked her out. Yeah, we
sorry.
That's real talk. It's real talk. Kellyanne, like one of my dad taught me from a very early age, you're not a man. Do not step to a man like you want to lick him down, because you will get hurt. So I know you don't do that. But there's a lot of females that don't get taught that. Yeah, they think that because they have to be the mother, the father, and everything, then they're carrying that energy like a trophy. Like you need to let it go.
Right.
Yeah, but then if the woman who's been brought up, say, by her mum, or she saw like the male figure boxing down the mum or whatever, then that's going to have an impact on her, no?
Or if the child sees the dad box down the woman.
Yeah, so if like say the child has seen their mum getting boxed up by the man, yeah,
right,
then they may grow up with this kind of defense mechanism, like, yo, that ain't gonna happen to me. So it's always like a defense kind of thing. I'm just hypothetically speaking here.
Yeah, I can see that you're being the devil's advocate here, and I think that might be a slightly different subject here. I'm not talking domestic violence here, you know.
I know, no, but I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying in terms of having that masculine kind of energy, do you get what I'm saying?
That's not masculine energy. That's just abuse. That's just terrible. I've seen it. I've been in that.
But then like Miss T said, that how her dad said basically to her, God rest his soul, is your position isn't to really, to go on and, you know what I mean, go to step to man kind of thing. Whereas some younger children may have grown up to see that and then just have this kind of defense mechanism.
You mean that the mum stepped to the dad? You mean the mum stepped to the dad?
Or either way, they may have experienced and witnessed certain things. I'm just hypothetically speaking.
Just a quick thing. If the mum has stepped to the dad, now she's actually seen that what her mum has done has caused an effect. Okay, yes, we have cause and effect. So if the mum steps to the dad and says blah blah blah, and he goes, right, it's like, oh, mum did this, dad did that. Now, if dad just did this and dad just did that, and mum was feminine, that's a problem.
Okay, all right. So what we're going to do now is we are going to continue this conversation because obviously today we're talking about goal setting, and maybe this is something that man's can be in here talking about, like yourself, goal setting, how to approach a woman.
And also maybe the feminine, the females can also do goal setting on how to be feminine again and how to
maybe we should get some coaches on the show. Maybe we should get some coaches that deals with relationships and stuff on the show.
It's a big thing right now.
Good idea.
So what are we saying, that we should do this like in a nighttime or something, like a night show, like a Thursday night or Friday night?
You can reach out to Yvonne Michelle.
I was just thinking Yvonne, so maybe I'll ask her, see if she's free, maybe tomorrow night.
Yeah, it's
or Friday night.
Yeah, it's New Year's Eve week or New Year's Day week.
Yeah. Friday night. We just everyone just get their little drinks, get their little on, and we just chill, and everybody can come on the platform and we just have it out. Yeah. So put the word out there.
Okay, I will.
And then we do it on Friday night.
I would happily come into the men's group to give some kind of
advice.
Not even advice, just of what my experience, what I know, what I think is going on. But yes, I agree with Kelly on there's definitely an issue that we need to get to grips with, and we also need to teach our children. We need to teach the children.
That's right.
So should we do this Friday at 9 p.m.?
It's fine with me. Okay, I'll make a note.
All right. Can you reach out to Yvonne?
Okay.
And reach out to some of the mans them
I will.
And see if they want to come on, and we can just open up the platform, and then we can advertise it, and we can chop it up, and we have this conversation on Friday night.
Okay, I'll do that.
Yeah,
no problem.
Because then that way it can help everybody to get set up. So that's the event that's going to be coming up. Even though I said today was going to be the final show, it looks like Friday night is going to be the final show.
Yeah. I'll see if some guys are happy to come and talk.
And we just got to be very transparent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Continue. Let me come back to you. Most of tonight. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Have a good one, girls. See ya.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Woo. Wow. That's going to be a juicy topic. So, guys, you heard it tonight. So on Friday, we are going to chop it up. We're going to be talking about goal settings, about getting into relationships. So today we're talking about goal settings about money. And on Friday, we're going to be talking about goal settings about relationships. Oh my gosh, I'm loving this. Coming like a whole season of all different topics. So we was going to announce about any upcoming events, but the only upcoming event we got is going to be on Friday. But before we get started, we do have our guest who's going to be joining us in a moment. She goes under the Black Girl Financial Coach, and her name is Andrea Corbett. And she's going to share a bit about her pain, and she's going to also share about her purpose. She's going to be talking us with regards to how we could start financially planning for 2023. And also she's going to be sharing about an upcoming event which will be taking place, I believe it's this Saturday. So without further ado, let's bring on the queen herself, Black Girl Coach, Miss Andrea Corbett. Hello, Queen. How are you?
Good evening. I'm
Good
fine, thank
evening,
you. Can you
Andrea.
hear me okay?
Yes, we can hear you
Yeah,
loud and clear.
good.
We're not sure if you heard in the background, but we're going to be having a show on Friday night. I don't know if you want to come on
Yeah, I
there.
heard that. I was like, oh, that sounds interesting.
Yeah. So we're going to be goal setting relationships. So the man's them is going to be talking about their fear in approaching the women them. And we at the Now Chat show, you know, we're going to just try and give some advice, but we're going to also have Angela, not Angela, what am I talking about? Her name's not Angela. Yvonne Michelle.
Okay.
She does like relationship coaching, etc.
Yeah.
So she will be, we don't know if she's joining, but we're speaking.
But you got her down, so I just whacked my phone, just realised.
Yeah, so she will be joining the show. So hopefully Kels will have her sorted out for this coming Friday.
No, it sounds very interesting, and I feel like I had the conversation, and there's a lot to unpack there in terms of seeing your parents go through certain issues that does have a negative, sometimes a negative effect on the children in many different areas of their life. And people put up walls because the defense mechanism of not wanting it to happen to me. I don't want to be like my parents, and or you know, X, Y, Z and whatever. But yeah, sounds like a good conversation that needs to be had, especially within our community. And this is what I'm going to be talking about. We just don't talk enough about the things that we complain about and the things that really matter. You know? And it's all about like breaking those generational cycles that, and again, something I'm going to talk about is that, you know, we're carrying this shame and this baggage that doesn't even belong to us. You know, and we see things that our parents do, and then take that on. You know, and a good example of that is, sorry, but is this okay to go into this?
Yeah, listen.
So a good example of that I heard.
Wow.
A good example I heard, nothing to do with relationship, but just an analogy of, you know, seeing your parents do something. So a husband saw his wife put a piece of meat in the oven and she cut it in half, and he was like, you know, why are you cutting it in half? Why is it in two different dishes? And she said, oh, my mum used to do that. So long story short, they went back and asked the mother, why did you do that? She said, oh, because when my mum used to do it, we didn't have these big enough ovens. And so that's just an example of generational cycle that we're just continuing on and don't even know why we're actually doing it. So just
excellent example.
That's brilliant. And then you think it's because, you know, it's like we think there's a traditional way or an aspect
or
to
some
it.
Deep reason behind it. There was no deep reason. If you just unpick it and you'll find out, and it asks the right questions.
This is
exactly. Yeah. So Andrea, thank you so much for coming on our platform this evening. And we just want to, because you go under as the Black Girl Coach. Yeah. So if you can just expand on that, talk about your pain, and then now talking about your purpose to becoming this Black Girl financial coach.
Yeah, so once again, thank you for having me. So yeah, I'll start with my journey that I call my adversity to advantage journey, pain to purpose, many different titles. But so I've done the Black Girl Finance coaching certification, but that's where I am now, but that's not where I started. So in 2015, I had a breakdown. At the time, I was a secondary school teacher, head of 2 departments, loved my job. Despite the politics in education, I loved it. Long story short, as a result of my diagnosis, I resigned from teaching, not knowing what I was going to do. I didn't have no idea. But I went on a journey to find out, like, why was I diagnosed? What did it mean? Because if I retract, I thought it was something really negative. I didn't tell anybody that I was diagnosed. Again, just about what we were talking about, you know, the shame that we carry that doesn't actually belong to us, the stigma that exists around mental health, and all the baggage that comes with mental health diagnosis. So I didn't know what I was going to do. Went on a journey, found out about mental health, but because I resigned and didn't have anything to go straight into, obviously you had a good job, finances were fine, I was living a nice life, you know, spending the money because it's going to be replenished every month, had savings. I have a son who's now 25, and so we was doing okay. There was no complaints there. But again, resigned, no work to go into. Tried to get a job, tried to go back into teaching to do supply work, but my DBS, which is the police check that you need to work with young people, had expired, and I needed to get it renewed. Went for and because I was in school, they would renew it for me, so I didn't have to do that myself. But because this was the first time that I had done it solo, it took forever to come back. I literally had to get my MP to support me in my application to see what to speed up the application. It made me feel like a criminal, even though I know I hadn't committed any crime, because it was just taking so long. Long story short, couldn't get a job back into, you know, teaching, and that was all I had known. I had been teaching for close to 13, 14 years, so that was my profession, and I thought I felt comfortable there. So again, no job, no money, had to go on to universal credit. Again, that shame and stigma, but you got to do what you've got to do. But even though I'm on that, the money's still not enough and to manage the bills that I had. And so my financial situation got into a really bad space, and I didn't know what to do. I literally didn't know what to do. My letters were piling up because I just wasn't opening them. It got so bad that I had to get an external shredding company to come and shred all my letters because they were outside in the shed, away from everybody. No one knew that what was happening. I was just literally burying my head underneath the sand and just hoping that it would go away, but it didn't, until I started to do some work. I started to look into my own mindset. I realized that something had to change. I've already been, diagnosed with mental health illness. My life's in a very dark space, and lots of different things with negative things were happening. But fortunately for me, being a goal setter, as we're speaking about, I decided I'm going to set myself a goal to achieve something in life, because I was always used to being a teacher, having a good job, and so on and so forth. And so I again set about my journey to just find out what are the new things that I can do. Like, I had to change my mindset from a fixed mindset of, oh, I can't do this is not for me, this, a black woman like me couldn't have her own business, and all these negative thoughts that my inner critic, which I now know and what I now call saboteurs, were really like, that it was so loud, very, very loud. So my goal was to better myself, to get myself out of this rut. So one thing that I did do, which was to give back to the community. I became a founder and director of an organisation for young people to educate and empower them about mental and physical health. All that didn't get me out of my financial rut. It did help me with my mindset, because when you give back and you're helping others, that does it's a two-way street, because you're doing it for yourself as well. And I was literally doing it for myself because it made me feel good. And so that was one thing that I did. I became a qualified personal trainer. That then enabled me to start getting an income. And then people, word of mouth, and then luckily someone found out what I was doing, and because I'm a school teacher. And one thing I didn't mention as well, I'm a British champion bodybuilder. At the time I was a national champion, but one of the local boroughs asked me to come in and be a youth fitness mentor. So that then enabled me to bring in some money, and so things started to look up. So fast forward to last year, actually. It's around about this time last year, I did a course called the money mastery course. And that was just for me to, because I thought I was at the point now with my money that I wasn't scared of money anymore. Money wasn't negative. Money wasn't the enemy. Money was something that brought me joy. Money was something that we all need, we all want. And it was something that I thought that was one of the last pieces of the puzzle that I needed to fit in, because I needed to understand it a little bit more than what I did. And so the money mastery course was great, with Jazz Rose. That really got me geared up and really got my mind working about money again. And I then also had the book. So there is a book. It's not my book, but it's the Black Girl Finance book. I was reading that, and I went onto the Selena Flavius's website, and lo and behold, there was an opportunity to become a financial coach. I thought, okay, that sounds interesting, but I didn't think that I could actually do that role, even though I'm a qualified NLP practitioner and done my coaching, finance coaching. I thought that wasn't available to me. Again, the saboteurs started to come in and try to self-sabotage. Oh, I don't think that's available to me. So I contacted her. She thought it was a great idea, especially with my lived experience. And so my motto now is that I'm an expert by lived experience in all the work that I do, because being an expert by lived experience first means that when you're working with people, you're able to empathize with them more. You're able to have a better understanding of what their journey could possibly be. And, I have this unspoken conversations with my clients, because they will start and they won't have the language and how to express how they feel and what they've done, and they feel shame. And it's like, no. And my clients come to me because of my journey, and they know that there isn't any shame with me. There isn't any judgment. It's a non-judgmental environment that I work within. And so, yeah, I became a personal finance coach. At the same time, I also went on a course called Trauma of Money. That sounded interesting. It had the word money in it. I was doing personal finance. I thought, okay, why not? So I did that, and that really opened up my eyes about not so much the personal finance side of it, but the different aspects of like the generational trauma that we go through, and why people are not always great with money, and they shouldn't put the onus on themselves. Like, I'm not good with money. It's not always that I'm thing. It's something we're not taught. As a school teacher, I know that's not, financial literacy is not taught within schools. And if our parents haven't been taught it, and their parents haven't been taught about financial literacy, how is it going to trickle down to the next generation? And so, so that the Trauma of Money really opened my eyes about where this shame and where this baggage comes from. And it comes generational, relational, societal. There's different areas that it relates to. And again, having that qualification has enabled me to have a bigger impact and a greater impact with the clients that I work with. And like you mentioned about the webinar that I'm having this Saturday, it's purely to educate and to share this knowledge now with people, because it's important. Like I said at the beginning, we all need, want, and have money, but a lot of the times we don't know how to look after our money, and we see money as the enemy. And some of the mottos that we might have heard, money doesn't grow on trees, and we generally have a negative connection when it comes to money, especially within our community. And one thing we don't do as well, which I found, and I say this because the courses that I've done have primarily, apart from the Black Girl Finance and the Money Mastery, they were both done by Black people, but all the other courses that I've done, they haven't been. And so being in those spaces where there were fewer Black people in there than there are other ethnicities, I found that they talk about money a lot more, and not in a this is in a what we call a bossy way, but they're just open about money. And that really again helped me to, so it's okay to talk about money, and you can earn hundreds and thousands of pounds by helping people, you know. And I think those conversations are really important, and that, yeah, we need more of it. And just like you're having the relationship conversation, we need more financial and money conversations. And that's what I mainly work with. I mainly work with having those conversations and the mindset. You know, I won't be telling you, I'm not a financial advisor, so it's not about where you should invest, but it's more like supporting people with their mindset first, because that, if your mindset's not in the right space, no matter how much money you have, it doesn't make a difference. And as we've heard about that, the lottery winners, they win millions of pounds, and before you know it, it's all gone. Why? Because they don't have the right mindset in order for them to keep the money and, you know, build a relationship with the money and spend it right and know what to do with the money. So yeah. I don't know if you have any questions or but...
Wow. Brilliant. Yeah.
Amazing.
It is very deep. It is very, very deep. And I feel like with the other work that I do as well, so the heart healing work that I do, the trauma informed coaching, it's so powerful now. Like I feel so equipped to help people. Like the clients that I have now, I did a post today on Instagram actually. I said, like, I'm a whole person coach, life coach, because you can come to me for your mindset, your body, I'm a personal trainer, your soul / heart because of the heart healing work that I do, and also your money issues that you may have. And you know, it's just an amazing position to be in as a Black woman, and you know, as being a role model to young Black girls, and you know, other women as well, to see that it is possible. And that's what I want other people to see, that it is possible for us to have a mindset change, because I was 38 when I had mine.
It's never too late. It's never too late, Queen.
For real.
Never.
Do you mind, Andrea, just telling us a little bit more about the heart healing, please?
Okay.
Like,
yeah, so again, this time last year was a powerful moment for me. It was a moment that we're talking about goal setting, and I don't wait until the January the 1st to do my goal. And I'm not, you know, criticizing anybody that does, each to their own. But I like to get ahead of myself sometimes. And so hence why I started the Money Mastery. I think it was around about this time. And when this program called Heart Healing, I'd heard of it. And the lady that is the founder of Heart Healing, so I couldn't catch my words, the founder of Heart Healing, she had an offer where they were combining hypnotherapy and heart healing, because prior to that, you had to have a hypnotherapy qualification. And I didn't, so I could never do this heart healing. But I've had been in her sessions where she's done heart healing, and I've actually, you know, witnessed how powerful it is. And I'm thinking, this is great stuff, and I would love to be able to do this for other people. And again, going back to color, I'm London's only Black heart healer, and I know for myself, when it came to my journey of getting to where I am now, at the beginning when I had a counsellor, it was a male and he was white, and I didn't feel comfortable talking to him. And that didn't help me. So although he was there and I had the support to help me, it didn't work for me. And I know I hear it a lot, that Black people or people of color want to see someone that looks like them when they're talking to them. Primarily because it saves a lot of time. You know, you're not always having to justify yourself. Oh, this is why I'd say this and this is why I do this. So going back to heart healing is an trauma-informed practice, whereby it works with primarily your inner child. And as a practitioner, when I was practicing, I had to have sessions myself. Like every month I would have sessions myself. And my trauma that I had gone through, that I knew I had gone through it, but I didn't realize how much it had affected me, was not having a relationship with my dad. And since doing the heart healing, which started around March this year, my relationship with my dad has gone from this to this. Like, it's been amazing. It's just I can't, when I'm talking about it, I fumble with my words, because words can't really express how my inner child, I said this to my mum a couple of days ago, my inner child is doing cartwheels, because I'm able to say, I'll go to my dad's and I'll go to my mum's, and my dad takes me, I stay over at my dad's house. You know, even my mum said yesterday, are you at your second house? Like, no, you're my third, because your house is my second house. And it's just helped me to, you know, when the father figure is the provider, whether you have your father in your life or not, that's patriarchal, that's how it seems. Your mother is the you know, the nurturer, and the father is the provider. And so the reason why I say that is doing the heart healing work really connects with my role as a personal finance coach, because your father being the provider, and for myself, I was having money issues. I had money issues, but I didn't realize it was because it had that connection. And when you go back into looking at some of the issues that you thought were okay, but I had kind of like addiction to spending. Even though I had money, I was also always spending it, because I didn't know how to look after it. One, because I wasn't educated, and two, because I had underlying issues that I wouldn't have related with my finances. And so doing the heart healing, it, one, like I said, rebuilt my relationship with my dad, supported me, like helped me to get more visible, helped me to feel more confident within myself, because it goes through different wounds that we can experience. So it goes through the love wound, worthiness. A lot of the time we experience, you know, that negative feeling because we don't feel worthy. You know, sometimes it could be we don't feel worthy of making this money. We don't feel worthy of having this relationship. You know, so heart healing can look at different areas of people's life. We don't feel like we're accepted. You know, so it goes for an acceptance wound. It's just such a powerful modality. And so when I was doing my practice, I did it with all people of color, Black people primarily. And I was actually quite like scared to do it, because I know there's a negative connotation when it comes to hypnotherapy, but I put a shout out, and the responses that I got were amazing. And the feedback that I got was, after each session, which is roughly about an hour and 20 minutes, the first thing when people come back out of their deep meditation state is, wow. Like, there could be sometimes a lot of crying, because you are unpacking a lot that when you go into the session, you don't know what you're going to unpack. But when you come out of it, feeling like a weight has been lifted. And like I said, I've had sessions where I have cried myself, but I've journaled, and it's helped me to identify, okay, that happened. So that's connected with why I don't want to be visible, and why I didn't want to be visible in my business, and why I felt the shame of not wanting to speak about the work that I do, because I thought people were going to be talking about me. But that stemmed back to childhood, when that was happening to me as a child. And again, that was what I was able to unpack in the heart healing session. And just to caveat that, although I mentioned about the hypnotherapy, we don't put you under like a trance and you don't know what you're doing. And you're able to have a conversation. You know, it's just the hypnotherapy just puts you into a deep meditative state so that you're relaxed. Because when you go into therapy, and this is where therapy and heart healing differs. When you go into therapy, you're in your normal state. You know, you could be anxious about going into therapy. You don't know what questions you're going to be asked, and you don't want to talk about your past. And it's a lot about your past, and you've got to remember what happened. When you come into heart healing, I'm not asking you about what happened in the past and relive that situation. It's just, you do relive it kind of, but we don't stay there. We come from that adversity to an advantage point where you're able to reframe that negative experience and now put it into a positive present experience. And you then leave the session with that knowledge, and you leave the session with a audio file that is something that you listen to, and what you're listening to is basically all the positive things that we have spoken about in this session. You're now reframing your subconscious mind by listening to these positive now. So you're reframing those negative beliefs with these positive beliefs, and the positive beliefs, the majority of it has come from what the client has said themselves, but what their higher self wants. And so when they listen to it, it's like, wow, how are you writing down everything that I'm saying, listening to me, and doing the session as well? But like, if I hadn't had it done myself, I would think it was like, yeah, okay. But it's amazing. It is very powerful, and I'm proud of myself to be able to say that I'm London's only Black heart healing practitioner, and yeah, and I'm able to combine that, like I said, with my personal finance qualification as well.
That's an absolutely powerful story. Like I can feel it like from you. Like it's just, you're glowing, it's oozing, and it's coming out of every pore. Like, and you've got an amazing smile, Andrea. It is like a 100 kilowatt thing. Wow. Don't cover it up.
I know.
Don't do that.
But you like Miss T says, you're oozing, and the energy is really coming through, because we had you on a Now Chat show. I think it was back in 2017 when you was going through the pain of being diagnosed with your mental health, and now seeing you like how many years later, sharing what's coming to like 6 years now, where you are currently, is just like such a huge transformation. But obviously today's topic is about 2023 goal setting, and obviously you being a Black girl coach, how do we, especially people of color, brown and Black skin, how do we overcome that, the types of what's the word I'm looking for? The labelings that we've been given, like the wordings that we've heard, like our mom and our dad saying things like money don't grow on a tree, or we're poor, or because I even have to correct myself sometimes with the languages that I use. Sometimes I may, like say, boy, I'm bruck, like, or I'm brass, or, and all of those things obviously keeps you in that poverty kind of mindset. But even though we know that language is powerful, we know words is powerful and everything else, how then do we reprogram ourselves? Oh, you still there? Yo. Oh, you're there.
Yeah.
How do we then reprogram ourselves in terms of, like, I'm assuming that your coaching will help us to go through, to reset how we feel and how we see money. So when you do this hypnosis and everything, is that the things that basically come out in your work? Well, I think I'm asking kind of like two questions.
Yeah, you got a couple of questions, but just to answer the latter question. So I do can't even talk now. Hypnotherapy, financial coaching. So, but that's separate. So because I know, like I said, not everybody wants or agrees or likes or is okay with hypnotherapy. So I offer it if that's something that you want. The heart healing is not so much. It's kind of difficult because it's not so much like directly about finances, but it can have the connection with your finances. So there is an option too, but there is a separate option to have financial hypnotherapy session. And then in terms of your first question, which was about the narratives and the language, when it comes to the scarcity mindset, I was number one on that list. Like it was always, oh yeah, I'm broke, I don't have this, I don't, like I said about that fixed mindset. And that's why I call myself a mindset and money mentor. And I know that normally you hear it the other way around, like a money mindset mentor, money mindset coach or whatever. But I believe in anything that we do, our mindset comes first. If you're in the wrong mindset, if you're not, in the right frame of mind, it's not going to happen. So if you're talking that scarcity mindset, if you're talking the negative comments, to yourself, then you, like, again, it's about that whole reframing your language. So if I don't have what I need, I always say that it's in transition. I don't know where it's coming from, but it's in transition to me. It's coming. It's on its way to me. you know. So every morning when I write my journaling, I'm so happy and grateful for the money that flows to me in abundance daily. I'm a money magnet, like, and I guarantee you, even just before we came on air, I was doing some washing, and I went into one of my pockets and I said, I say thank you all the time. I say thank you because I thought it was going to be money, but it wasn't. It was a receipt. Lo and behold, in another pocket in the said trousers, there was a £5 note. Yeah. And so I'm always, and that's what the free download is called, Money Abundance. I always say money's in an abundance. Money is in abundance. Despite them saying we're in a cost of living crisis, money is abundant. There are millionaires and billionaires in this world. So money is clearly in abundance. It may not be with you in your purse, but it is there and it is around us. And so it's taken a lot. And like I said, I used to treat money as the enemy. I always, when I'm paying my bills, I say thank you. You know, if I don't have money to pay my bills, then I don't have a roof over my head. I don't have light. And when people say, I've got to pay this bill, I've got to pay the electric. But how did you cook? How did you put your heating on? You know, with the said electric, you can't go into a shop and say, oh, I want that coat, and just pick it up and take it out. You need to purchase it. So that's the same way I say I'm purchasing my electric, I'm purchasing my gas. I've got to pay for it, and I'm happy to do so. And I've been in that space where I didn't have the money. So I'm not speaking, oh yeah, you got it now. No, I've been there when I didn't. And like I said, I had to learn how to change my mindset in these things. And things like when I didn't have money for a coach, journaling, writing, like really self-coaching. And so that's why I can see things are popping up on the screen, but I can't actually see it because I haven't got my glasses on.
No, what I've just done, I've literally just put in, for those who are watching us live and those who are catching the replay, it's the Money Abundance Journal by Andrea Corbett. That's the link. You can get your free download of the journal itself. And I will also share the link because Andrea also spoke about an upcoming event, which she will go a bit further into details in the last segment of this conversation. But in the meantime, by all means, do make a note of the link. I will also share this link in the description after the show. Yeah. Sorry,
I could see something and I was like, can't see.
Also, good evening, Iola.
Going back to what I was saying.
Sorry,
it's about
okay. Go ahead. Yeah, and
then just to recap, it's literally about reframing, and so that's what the journal allows people to really just, without even having a coach or anything. Because I'm not. Yes, I am a coach, and yes, you know, I would like people to buy into my services, but I know that's not always possible. And so, for me, it's about, you know, sharing the knowledge and giving back and you know, supporting people that where I was, because I've been in that space. And so just giving people that idea and to think about, okay, maybe this is something that I need to look into a bit more. And again, today if you go to my Instagram page, I've just done some like end of year money mindset journal prompts. So it's journaling is a very powerful method, which is free, you know, or if you just need a pen and paper, or you can do it on your phone. But I prefer pen and paper because you have more of a connection, you know, than the mobile. And then the mobile could be put away and you can just, you know, do what you need. And another thing we need to do as well, set a goal to have conversations with family members, or even when I say family members, our younger family members primarily as well, because to educate them, see what they know, what do they need to know, what can you find out? And so I think these things are really important to, you know, we've got Google now, we've got many different ways that we can do research on finding out the right language to use. And like I said, the journal, or people like myself, you got, you know, the Black Girl Finance book. Start educating. Have the people's goals, I wouldn't say should be, but I would advise it to be to do some research and to, you know, to find out this information, because if not, we're going to be stuck in this generational trauma. Is just going to keep going round and round and round, and we have to break it somehow. And so my way of trying to support in breaking that for our community is doing like the webinar that I'm doing on Saturday, doing things, talks like this. And thank you, yes, Kaz, for inviting me here. And when we did our talk in 2017, I would never thought that I'll be sitting here 2022 talking about all the modalities that I'm now qualified in.
Yeah, I mean, you've done amazing work, you know, and what I really admire about you is that it starts with you first. It has started, the journey has started within yourself first, because obviously, like you shared about, you know, not having the job as being, you know, in education, being a teacher, and then obviously getting these bills coming in. And there's so many other individuals that are actually watching or even catching a replay can resonate with that, because, you know, sometimes it's easier to just bury your head in the sand and thinking it's all going to go away. And the next minute, you know, people then become homeless and, you know, their situation changes due to not really facing their responsibility, or they feel that they can't face it. But with you, I mean, obviously, like you said, you had to, like, you looked into your mindset and things like that, but not everybody will have that kind of awareness or that kind of notion of, you know, I've got to change my mindset. Do you get what I'm saying? Because some people don't even realize that they have a mindset issue. So how was you able to tap into knowing that is what you needed to kind of shift first before you can kind of move forward?
And like I said, everything that I say and suggest is things that I've done. So the whole research thing is what I looked into, and saw meditation, because that was part of my recovery process from the diagnosis. You know, I was advised to do meditation. Couldn't do it for the life of me, but now every morning when I wake up, I do at least 10 minutes. I couldn't even do 1 minute. And so when people say I can't meditate, I don't believe anyone can start off and can meditate. It takes time, and yes, you'll hear, you know, voices going around. You're thinking about what you got to do for the day, but everything takes time. So going back to your question, it's like doing the research, talking to people. Like I was going around networking with to find out what is mental health, and while I was looking into mental health, I was also getting other information in as well. And that's how my love of journaling came from as well, is finding out like about the journal prompts. And I've got so many journal books that I've written in and so on and so forth. But one of the things that did help me, which was a few years after the fact, which helped me to give me even more language about my mindset, was a course called Positive Intelligence, aka mental fitness. And again, it's like everything that I touch, I have to be qualified in it. So I did the mental fitness course. It was a 6-week program. Did that, and like, this is amazing. So what that does is it takes the onus off yourself. It gives you saboteurs, and we all have like saboteurs. We all have a judge, where we judge ourselves, we judge other people, and we judge our circumstances. And there's 9 other accomplices that go with the judge. So for example, my top one is restless, and avoider. So there you go, avoider. When I was avoiding opening my mail, when I was avoiding speaking to people. So I did that course, and now I'm a mental fitness coach. So I'm able to coach people on those languages. And even my clients, like, yeah, my saboteur's playing up today. And so going back to your question again, it's doing the research, journaling. I went on, I did have to part with money and do courses, but it was all worthwhile. And it's just I had to re-educate myself. And I didn't know about mindset. When the doctor told me to advise me to use physical activity to manage my health, because the endorphins, I thought, oh, here we go, more meditation. I didn't know what endorphins were. So, you know, and endorphin is, you know, the happy brain chemical. Likewise, with the different neurotransmitters that we have within our body. And so again, I just literally re-educating, and everything that I've educated myself, I'm now able to give back to others. But I know it is hard. I went from a very dark space to where I am now, and that journey took me years. And so that's why I do the work I do, because I don't want other people to take this amount of time. They could, you know, shorten their time. But especially our community, we don't do a lot of talking, and that's why I try and do as much talking about my lived experience as possible to show people that they're not alone. Like you mentioned the word resonate. So a lot of people can, when they do hear my story, they can resonate and they can try and seek the support that they need, or try and do some research, or try and find out, oh, like she mentioned this, let me Google that. What does that mean? You know, it might spark something within them to have a look, or if they were able, if they downloaded the journal, then that might spark something within them. You know,
so Andrea, I mean, because you know, like within your practice, you talk about in your journal as well about the dopamine.
Yeah,
brain chemicals impacts our relationship with money. Could you expand more about that, please?
Yeah. So the dopamine, what that is, we have a dopamine effect. So dopamine effect, you know, when you get excited, I'm going to go and buy this, and you get really excited about doing that. We all have that about something, you know, and I know I do, and I know like I said, we all do. We all have that dopamine effect. It's a neurotransmitter that we have within us, and basically, what the dopamine effect does is it spurs you on to want to spend your money. And even though you might not have it,
you want to spend
all the money set aside for something, the dopamine effect is so strong that it's just go and do it. Like, go and buy it. And then you bought that, whatever it is that you've bought, and you've come home. How many things do you have in your wardrobe that you're like, why did I buy that? You know, like, why? But because the dopamine is so strong, and especially, and then much less when you're not in the right frame of mind, or you're depressed, you just are, you know, they say retail therapy. No, because sometimes your retail therapy is not conducive to your financial situation. Or on the other hand, the dopamine effect, it can give you that happy vibe, but then it can also suppress you, because, you know, if you're not doing that shopping, then you're feeling depressed, or you're feeling sad. You know, that dopamine, we need a happy balance of dopamine. And then when it comes to our finances, we need to, you know, when I'm doing budgets with my clients, I always say, have some spare cash for you to treat yourself. Because if you're saving and putting this, and you're working all this time to what, just to save and just to, no, treat yourself. So have a set budget for that, so that when you do have that dopamine hit, you can go to that account and have that dopamine hit. And that's why I also say to people to have separate accounts, like have a bill account, have an account where you'll get paid, have an account where you can, like your dopamine hit account, where you can spend the money, and separate your money, so that, you know, if you've got a bills account, then if your dopamine hit was so high that month, but you know your bills are being paid, and your roof is not going to be taken away from you, and the electricity and gas and everything is going to be paid, then, you know, that's that. And making sure you can get to work, whatever. And so that's basically the dopamine effect. It's that urge to want to go and buy and not think about the financial repercussions.
That's interesting.
You mentioned about re-education, but as you were talking to me, I saw that you reinvested in yourself, which also brought in the abundance back to yourself as well.
So say that again, sorry.
No, you're back, Miss T.
Did you hear what I said?
I heard about the reinvesting, but I didn't hear the last part. Let's see if it's me.
Yeah, so when you were talking about your re-education, you reinvested. So as you were talking about your previous profession, obviously you had to invest in yourself to go to uni to become that. But what happened is you had to reinvest into yourself in order to bring out that abundance as well. And so, like, for me, that's what I just got from that, because I'd done the same thing. Like, oh, what am I going to do? I need to reinvest. So also the education is a reinvestment. You know, we're investing in ourselves. So I picked that up from you. Thank you.
No, definitely. And give me 2 seconds, because in my back, I thought my phone was charging, but I didn't switch the plug on. There it is.
We've also
that reinvesting in that.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. No, I thought you was going to take a minute in it, so I was just about to read some of the comments, but it's okay. We'll do that afterwards.
So the reinvesting in ourselves is very important, especially for someone like myself being a coach. And why I say that is because you got to give in order to receive. And so I need to know what it feels like to pay someone as a coach or to pay someone for their services, so that I know when people are going to be paying me for my services, what that feeling. If I'm having that scarcity mindset, well, I can't pay that person for that, that's then that whole, you know, I wouldn't say karma, but that's that whole cycle that's going round. You know,
it's the attraction.
That's the word. The attraction. Yeah. So I'm being scarce. I'm having a scarcity mindset about, you know, I can't invest in that because I don't have. But I've got told one thing, important thing is take your mindset out of other people's purses, because you don't know what other people have. And I thought about it really deeply, because the amount of money that I've invested in my education post my diagnosis has been, I don't even, the figure, I don't know the exact figure, but I know in this last year, it's been, about 5 figures at least. But why did I do that? It was because, one, and I think Kaz mentioned it earlier, everything that I do is to support myself first. And so I'm invested in myself first, my inner self, getting my mindset right, so that I can then share that with other people. And then that investment that I've in supporting myself will come back to me in abundance.
Yeah.
But that's not my first port of call. My first port of call, I'm going to do this because it's going to earn me this. No, I'm going to do this because it's going to better me. And just to top that, my social enterprise, my community interest company is called FOCUS, which stands for Focus on Creating Your Ultimate Self. And that's ultimately what I do. I focus on me first. And then I'm able to give. You know what they say? Fill your cup up first. So my cup is overflowing now with all this education, with everything that I've learned, especially from this year. It's overflowing. So now I can give back. Now I can do free journals, do the webinar on Saturday, because I'm overflowing. I'm not saying that I'm a millionaire or that I'm even at a financial process where I want to be.
I was just thinking that you're not a millionaire yet.
Not yet.
Yet. But I'm on that journey. And the clients that I work with actually don't, if I was a millionaire, I don't think it would resonate as much, because even the other day I spoke about my credit score going up. You know, I'm repairing myself, and I was never ashamed of saying, you know, I'm a few steps ahead of the people that I'm working with, and plus I've got the qualification. But even with me, so you know, my credit score has just gone up. Why? Because I've re-educated myself about that. I'm on that journey of repairing myself, so I know that the work that I do with my clients works. Why? Because it's working for me. I'm not a textbook coach. I'm a real life coach.
Yeah. It's going back to what you were saying, expert by lived experience first, isn't it? By your saying. And I love that. Nadine McLean says, hey Queens, this is a great talk. Andrea is amazing at what she does, and tonight's show makes me even more excited to be working with her. So that's one of your clients. Thank you, Nadine, for sharing. And you know, like, what I wanted to ask you, because we've had some conversation, we had a conversation yesterday, and you kind of like did a little coaching on me. And it just made me think, okay, then. So I just went out there and I just put the thing out, and then I basically got a business and somebody purchased, right? And what I wanted to ask you, because is obviously you have re-educated yourself financially to be, you know, in the place, in the position that you are in today. But how was you able to financially support yourself, to educate yourself, to do these different types of courses, etc.? Because, you know, obviously I know you mentioned you as a personal trainer, you've got your focus group, but how was you able to, you know, like, how were you able to financially sustain yourself?
In the beginning, I'm so grateful for my family, like my mother especially. She, no questions asked, it was just okay. Because I was never in that position where I had to ask for help. I wasn't used to asking for help. But, you know, she knew what was happening with me, and yeah, she really supported me. And then I was able to do little things, and like I said, things always, I'm in abundance. So when I need it,
it will come.
It is there. Like, or like I do consult. Do consultancy. So for example, there was a good packet. I put myself out there, and lo and behold, one of the organizations that actually fund my CIC got Andrea Corbett in as a consultant. So it wasn't going through my CIC, it was going through my own limited company to do some consultancy work. And so things like that came up. I contacted another organization that I did some work with, I did a course with. I said, oh, what's going on? And, come back to me, oh, because you're a teacher, because you've done this, and do you mind, do you want to do some work with us? And so it's just about putting myself out there. And so that's how I've been able now to be able to fund myself. And also within my CIC, because of the work that that many hats that I wear, I'm able to get funding and be able to pay myself to be able to do that work. And I didn't know that I could actually, when I first started the CIC, I didn't know that was a thing. I thought that was like, oh my God, am I doing something really bad here? Again, lack of education, not knowing about, not finding out about finances. But I realized you could. And so when I got funding, I was doing all the work, but then I was also getting, it wasn't massive amounts, but it was covering, and so it was making the ends meet and also supporting me to do the work, the re-education. And I'm at the age where I don't care for, like, I like to look nice, don't get me wrong, that's a must, but I don't go out, I don't smoke, I don't drink. I'm a vegan, so when I do go out, I'm not buying like the most expensive meal on the menu. And I'm just content with just being in my house or going to my mum's, and now options are going to my dad's. So in answer to your question, how I funded myself was, just when I needed it, the things will happen to just come about my way, and being a consultant and the work that I do, it's good money. And so, that was able, so I could, one job that I got, imagine, so one of the work, and I want to share this because I feel like this is really important, because this is the things we don't talk about. So one of the jobs that I got, I had never done it before. And so I said to the lady, can you give me a rough ballpoint about, how much I should put the invoice you for? And because I kind of like knew her, she kind of like gave me the figure. When I tell you, the figure was not what I would have charged them. Like, the figure was, say, for example, £1,000 for 3 hours, and that was times 3 sessions. And so I literally came away with like 5-6 grand for a few hours work, basically, And so that's how, so when people are thinking like, what work am I doing? That's how I'm managing to fund myself. And then in between, if I've got a client, a 6-month package is nearly 5 grand. And so, sorry.
Gonna go.
I put my phone on. I put it on sleep mode, but WhatsApps can still come through. I forgot about that. So apologies for that. So yeah, that's how I'm funding myself. That's how I was able to fund myself. So from those jobs, I do get paid good money, because at the end of the day, I wear all these hats. I'm not your normal. Not always say normal. I can do different. You can get me to do different consultancy work for you. And so why pay different people when you can just pay me to do what many people can do?
That's brilliant, because it's like when you was talking, it kind of reminded me about a scripture where it talks about the talents. That do you guys know about that parable story about the talents?
No.
Gave, like, I think it was three sons or something, like one had like 1 talent, another one had like 2 talent, another one had like 10 talent, and each of them that was given like more, like say one was given 5, the other one was given 10, they went and they basically used their talent and they multiplied it. But the one that had the 1 talent just buried it and didn't do anything with it. So whilst I'm listening to you, it kind of reminds me of that, in terms of your talents that you have, you are now multiplying it. You know what I'm saying? So it's almost like that scripture where it says your talent will, your talents will make room for you. Like, it will basically give you the finances that you actually need. And I think because we're living in a society where we are being programmed, I'm not saying that how we shouldn't go to work, because we do need to go to work. Because obviously going to work also gives us the experiences, give us transferable skills, etc. But ultimately, a lot of us has talents, and even as I'm saying this, I'm talking to myself realistically. I know for myself, I mean, we've had this conversation. I've had this conversation with you, Miss T. I've had this conversation with Janelle, Iola, etc. And I just find, I think I've got such a poor mindset that needs to be, really developed, because I've got so many talents. Like, I wrote down on Boxing Day all of the jobs that I've done in the past and the things that I can actually do quite easily. Do you know what I mean? Kind of thing. But even the things that I can do very easily, I don't see it as, not saying I don't see it as that it can make me money, but it's that scarcity kind of mindset that goes with it, thinking I can't make money from it, if that makes sense. Or I don't feel that, like what you said, the lady who said to you, oh, you can charge £1,000 for that 3 hours consultation. I was more thinking, well, that person's not going to pay that. So I'm already putting a kind of, a limitation to what that skill is worth, if that makes sense, or even
total sense. And don't forget, we've been conformed as a society, especially as Black women, that we're less than, and that we should stick to this. And I even said, again, there was a lot on stories today, that for a while I didn't even know I was holding myself back, because I wear so many hats. I think, and you get coaches and other people tell you or advise you to conform to the way society wants you to be. So I'll stick to one thing. You can't do different things, because what are people going to know you for? If people get to know me, they'll know the work that I do. Yeah. And so you do get into that scarcity mindset of like, oh, is people going to pay me? And because I know so much, it's going to be this. And like I said, I think I said this already earlier, get your mind out of people's purses. That's not our business. There's clients and there's customers for everybody at different price points. You've got your Primark, people go there. You've got your Selfridges and you've got your Harrods. They're not shutting down anytime soon, because there are clientele for each one of the services that are available. And once we get our mindset of thinking about our businesses and our work in that light, we will flourish. But again, why don't we think about it in that light? Because we're not having these conversations. They're going around in our heads. And when things are going around in our heads, our self-limiting beliefs become truths for us. And they're not actually true. So it's all about that, like I keep mentioning, the reframing. And I know it's easier said than done, but it can be done. And as much as possible, we're, having these talks. And like what I said, talk to our young people. You said you've been speaking to people. You spoke to me the other day. It's just, let's keep having those conversations. And being in a scarcity mindset is quite normal, unfortunately, especially when the news is the cost of living. Yes, things are more expensive, but like I said, people are still purchasing higher ticket price coaching, higher ticket price services, food. The world is still going around and money's still spinning around in the world. So it's what camp are you going to be in? And that's why I don't watch TV and listen to the news, because I'm not in that camp of I'm going that feed into me. Yeah, I know there's a problem. I'm not trying to deny that, but I don't need you to keep telling me that every 5 minutes.
Yeah, it's like that fear constantly being drummed into you, and it's not solving anything. Do you know what I mean? It's not going to change your situation. If anything, it puts you more in fear. So then you get more of a scarcity kind of mindset. So what I wanted to ask you next was, because obviously the topic is about 2023 goal setting. So like, as you know, like every single year, people's got like New Year's resolutions, or they're making their goal sets, their vision boards, or whatever it is that they potentially do, using a compass, download to be able to do their planning for the year, etc. But would you say, maybe I'm talking about this for myself, I don't know, But would you say you need to maybe focus on working on your mindset first before you start making those plans? Or would you
I'll
say
say
do both?
do both. And
Right.
what I'll also say is there's a book and it's called the 12-week year. Like every quarter. So every quarter reset.
Yeah.
So every 3 months, maybe have a review of your goals.
Who's that by? Because I think Iola was talking about that the other day.
I don't know the author's name, but if you Google it, it's a popular book. But just having that in your mind, that every 12 weeks, every week is a month. So every 12 weeks, I've got a new year that's starting. And so what happens with New Year's, when you wait the whole 52 weeks, it's too long. And then half the time, by the end of January, the goal that you've set has not transpired because it's not going to work. That scarcity mindset's kicked in. And so if you're doing the work as you're going along, when you get to maybe like the third year or the third quarter, you may have done enough work now for it to actually kick in. But like I said, if you wait for that 52 weeks, it's too much of a long gap for your mind to actually, comprehend what it is that you're trying to do. But if every penny makes a pound, so it's those little goals, little milestones along the way to your big goal. If you're on a journey, you make pit stops to go to the loo or to buy food, and that's like with your goal. You're on a journey. And in order for that journey to arrive at that journey safe and sound, you just take stops, take a check where you are. Is things working? No. What? And that's the power of journaling as well, because you can then assess what you have done and what needs to be changed for the next year or the next quarter. So the goal setting, start it from now. Think about get ahead of yourself. What is it that sit down, like you mentioned, the compass. I do that myself, and I feel that's another thing you can do is future me. It's a website, and what that does is you can email your future yourself in the future. So even set it at every quarter, at the end of every quarter, write a list, or the beginning of the quarter, write a list of what you want to achieve, and then check in with yourself. Just keep checking in with yourself. And again, like I said, with the rewarding yourself, even if it's a small thing, what are some of the things that you like that you can reward yourself with when you do achieve something, so that scarcity mindset gets suppressed now, because you're then releasing the endorphin that you like doing this work. It's rewarding for you. You're getting something out of it. And so it doesn't always have to be negative, I've got to save. And another thing as well, so this whole I'm saving for a rainy day. No. Why does everything have to be so negative? Why does it have to be a rainy day? Just save for something pleasurable rather than a rainy day.
Yeah. I'm not going to lie, because Monzo's got the little pots.
I was just about to say that.
I actually got a pot in the Monzo saying rainy day pot. And the rainy day pot, I ain't gonna lie, the rainy day pot ain't got no money in it, because like I've already set the start. So it's like, boy, so I do need to rename that pot.
I use Monzo, and if I'm going on holiday, I'll put the flag of where I'm going.
Oh, I just put holiday.
No, you can put pictures. You can put pictures in there. Yeah, you can put pictures in there. So try and do things that are going to bring a smile. Rainy day, does that bring a smile to anybody's face?
No.
Yeah, it makes me
but if you see a flag of where you're going, you're like, yeah, all right. I'm not going to take anybody at that pot, because I know what it's for. I can see that sunshine already. So you got to evoke the feeling within you. That's gonna get you to. That's whole part of your mindset. You're reframing those automatic negative thoughts. And it's short for ants. Automatic negative thoughts in your head. Now you're squashing them. Sorry, don't anybody that animal friendly. You're just squashing those ants theoretically with positivity. And so that's what the mindset is. And it sounds a bit like people go, I can't, it sounds a bit woo-woo or whatever. It isn't. Try doing it. I give that a challenge to anybody. just try doing it for a short period of time, and you see that you can't revert. Well, I won't say you can't, but it'd be harder to revert back to the way you were. Like I can't. I say I can't now because I don't have that same mindset anymore. Like I said, if I can get it for a split second, and then I'm like, no, catch yourself. I catch myself. When I've learned. I know my triggers. You know, I know how to manage them better. But like I said, when did we speak, Kaz? In 2017. I'm sure if I go back and listen to, I wouldn't be talking like this because I didn't have that mindset back then. So it's taken a journey. It's taken qualifications, and it's just taken knowing about myself. And so that should be everyone's goal. Get to know yourself. Focus on creating your ultimate self, whether that be financially, in your relationships, in your career, in your business. Ultimately, it's about you, because if you're not right, then your business, your career, your relationships, they're not going to function right. When I wasn't in my right space, me and my son, our communication, our relationship wasn't as good as what it is now. But now I'm in the right space. Even like a few years ago, Mum, you don't anymore. No, why? I'm in that space. I'm like, oh, you know, I'm in that space, man. I'm in that space. Like, and it's not even a joke. I really am. I can just. People say, how do you not watch TV? What do you do? And I'm like, read a book, on the internet researching. Like, there's always things to do.
Yeah, but I think it's a case of what you prioritize, isn't it? Everyone's priority is different. Some people's priority may be just to watch EastEnders and just be inundated with whatever. Do you get what I'm saying? Where some people's priority is, I want to re-educate myself. I want to learn more about, say, stocks and exchange or whatever, what's going on out there. You know, how could I then make more better like financial decisions, etc. So I guess you have to get to a place within yourself, which you was explaining earlier, where you kind of like say enough is enough kind of thing. Or how do I then do better than continue to be, you know, the way that I am? Because especially when you know that the way that you've been living is not serving you, then something's got to change, and generally it's you, isn't it?
That's it. You're the only person that you can change.
Yeah.
You cannot change anybody else in this. And this is why this is nothing people need to remember. Oh, this person made me upset. This person made me angry. No, you did. You did. Because if you don't think about that person, and again, I know it's easier said than done, but if you switch off and don't and reprogram yourself to say, okay, I'm making myself upset because I keep going on about that person.
Yeah.
I keep thinking about that situation. You know, and like I said, people sitting there, but it's not that. I know it's not that easy. I've been there, but at the same time as I know that's not easy, I know that where I am now, it is possible. So I've been on that journey, and that's why I say things with my chest, because, like I say, I'm an expert by lived experience first. You know, and I back myself up with the qualifications, because I don't have to have these qualifications if I didn't truly want to. Because I have been there. So,
Something you was also when you were speaking, it reminded me about Billy Carson. What was it he was saying yesterday? He was talking with 19 Keys, and he was talking about like him writing a check out for himself. I think it was at the age of 17. He said he was gonna, you know, earn his first million. And it took him 10 years to get his first million. So if he wrote that at 17, then that took him, 10 years? So that's 27. Then he said that he then said to himself, because what he was saying, what he generally does, he talks to himself. So he literally has conversation with himself. So everything he's saying to himself, he's empowering himself. Like he's speaking the positivity to himself. It's like that constant affirmation, but the affirmation is now the conversation, which he's always constantly having. So he then mentioned about that he wanted to earn $1 billion. And then he thought, no. So he kind of like talked himself out of it. And then he started to write this check for $1 billion. And No, he did it. He wrote himself for 200 million or something like that. And then he ripped up the check and he was like, no, I'm going to write it down for the billion. And I believe he made his billion. And then Knighton Keys was like, wrote him a letter and say, yeah, so could you give me a certain amount of thousands out of that billion kind of thing, you know? I thought it was really quite funny. I call Knighton Keys my son. Whoever watches the show, they know I call him my son to keep things in perspective because, mate, if I was you young girls, mate, that is some fine wine. Yeah, so I just say that's my son to keep things in perspective. Do you know what I mean, kind of thing. But yeah, so when he did that, I was just in stitches. But what I liked what he said, because yesterday I was, for the last 48 hours, I was really struggling mentally with myself, and this is something that I deal with like weekly, as you know, Andrea, because obviously we've both been both was diagnosed and things like that. But it was like when he was saying it, he just constantly he's talking to himself, and I said, that's what I need to be doing, because the conversation that I'm having with myself isn't healthy. Because the things that is coming out of my thoughts isn't healthy. So it's like, how then can you make a goal set to want to achieve XYZ or to obtain XYZ if you've got a negative mindset? Because chances of you attracting it or achieving it is just like you saying, oh, I'm going to win the lottery. I'm going to win the lottery. Not saying you can't win the lottery. You can win the lottery, but the lottery money can just go just like that because you don't have the right mindset. So everything comes down to the mindset. So with that being said, and I think I've mentioned this before on previous shows with other guests, what do you know, obviously, like, you know, you've been doing the work for yourself, but surely you must have days when you're not feeling like, what do you do? Because you said it, you know your triggers, you know the XYZ, you know what works for Andrea Corbett and what doesn't. What do you do when you're having those moments?
And it's funny you say that, because again, I think it was like a couple of weeks ago, I was having one of those moments. I feel like every time I'm ready to up level, like, so this year has been a lot of learning, and I know next year is about giving value, earning more money, recouping the money that I've spent on my courses and everything like that. But just, you know, my value, what I'm getting my true worth, you know, and whilst at the same time helping people. So just basically getting paid to help people. But what do? I jumped onto Insta and I said this. I said I had to go back through all my posts, like all the things, all my wins that I've had throughout the years, you know, when I wasn't at the space where I am now. So when my mindset wasn't here, it was just here, you know, my positive mindset, when I was on the positive mindset journey, I had to go back and show myself, you can do this. You've done this when you've been less than, you know, your mindset hasn't been here, it's been here. And you still was able to achieve those things. I jump on a podcast and listen to someone that looks like me talking about something positive. I read books. You know, I call my friend and immerse myself in those types of conversation. But I know, like, my triggers are like, yeah, I have those days. We all do. I'm not perfect. Yeah, I do the work. I've done the work. But it doesn't mean that I'm going to be her. Nah. That's not actually possible, and it's not actually healthy, because we need to, our body needs to understand, like, the differentiate between our different emotions. Yeah. So with that being said, yeah, I've got a list of things that I do. Well, do you know the best thing I do? Go out and sleep. I just go to sleep, and then I call going to sleep my reset. I press the reset button by jumping in my bed. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's just those things in that, it's just something so simple. It's nothing. I can't really sit here and say, yeah, I do. It depends on what the feeling is. You know, like I said a couple of weeks ago, it was the feeling of, am I worthy? And I had to I'm lucky that I have the resources. Like, I had one of my HeartHealing audios that I was able to listen to reprogram, to remind myself, yes, I am worthy, and so on and so forth. So that's, I think, in a way, I'm obviously a lot luckier because I do have the resources. I do tap into my own resources that I have to access to. But people, that's like, and so if someone doesn't have those resources, it's again, we all have access to podcasts. We all have access to books, you know, audibles, something that you can find that is going to bring some form of positivity to you. One thing that I do like, and one book, and it's all on YouTube, you can find this, and it's about your mind. It's, even though it's called Think and Grow Rich, it's not necessarily about the money.
Is it Napoleon Hill?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Think and Grow Rich. I started to listen every morning when I get ready to go gym now. This week I've started to re-listen to it again, because I've read the book, I've done the activities, and like what you said with the gentleman about writing the check, the Think and Grow Rich, you write out an amount that you want to make by a certain date, and you write out what you do for that. Yeah, and then you repeat that to yourself night and day, and then it gives you, you know, you're saying the auto suggestions. You know, you're talking to yourself, you're auto suggesting what you need to be telling yourself. You know, the masterminds, you find groups that are of like-minded people that are going to have those positive conversations. So like myself, that's why I went into certain groups that I probably wouldn't have gone into otherwise. I had to reframe my mind, like, these people don't look like me, I'm the odd one out. Like, but what am I here for? I'm here to learn. There's something that they're doing that people, my community or people that I know don't know about this stuff. So I need to go in there and find out what this stuff is. Hence why I do the heart healing and all the other stuff that I do, because of that. Okay, is that how you earn your money? Is that what you're doing? I can do that, because there isn't
you remind me of Lisa Nichols.
She's actually one of the first ladies I listened to, listened to when I was on my journey. And her
she was one of those people that she was like saying, you know, I want to know how those white men get rich, you know, and she had to really put herself in different circles, because the people that she had around her, which, you know, family members or whatever, weren't in that financial position that she wanted to be in. So she needed to be around those people to learn what they knew, so that she can then become that for herself and for her family, etc. Do you know what I mean? So as you were speaking, you just reminded me of her, and the passion that's it. It's this passion that's what's making you lit up like a light bulb.
You have to, because otherwise, if you don't, we stay stagnant. And something had to change for me. And it's like, right, okay, you're looking at these people and they're doing this and doing this, and I'm looking at their credentials. They haven't got half as much of the credentials that I have, but their bank account is saying something different to what mine is. Yeah. So let me be that, because I know not a lot of black women that speak to, no, man, I'm not coming in there, I'm not doing that. But I said, you know what, I'm going in there. I want to find out, because if I don't, I'm just still going to be here. So then I found out, and that's why now I said, that's why everything that I touched, or all the things that I find out, I qualify myself in, because that's what I've learned now. It's like, okay, I'm going to do that too. Yeah, because we need more people that look like me, like with heart healing, all the trauma. I'm also doing something called the trauma recovery program. Like, I'm really immersing myself in modalities that our community are reluctant to go to other people to. Yeah. So I really want to support, especially with my community interest company. It's primarily for black and brown, or actually it's gone to just black young girls. Like, so it's black and brown young girls. But then this year I worked with just black girls, like, because there isn't any because. Just because I was able to, I am the founder, I can do what I want basically, but I know that we need it more. And without having those conversations of justification, because I can't have lost my train of thought now. But my point is, so doing these modalities so that our community can have someone that looks like them, so they can feel more secure. Yeah. Like I said in the beginning, when I had a counsellor, it was a white male, I didn't want to talk to him. But maybe if I had a black woman that looked like me, then that might have been able to open up. I don't know, because that option wasn't available to me.
But not always, not guaranteed though, because you could have somebody that looks exactly like you, and their way of thinking is so different. Do you get what I'm saying?
Because, I totally agree.
But you've got different types of black people.
But that's why I do a lot of talking, because so that people can resonate with me, and they can see that I'm not what type of person I, possibly they can make out from when they hear from me. Like you're saying, that my smile or my aura, how the impact, you can see that. And I'm not just sitting here making that up, So I just feel like we've got to go. I've got to start somewhere. We've got to start somewhere, especially in the UK. we're few and far between. I know, you know, so I'm just doing my bit. I'm doing what I can. And like I said, everything, it's helped me. I'm my case study. I'm my lived experience, and it's worked for me. It's got me to where I am now. And so we go back to the goal setting. I think people's goals should be writing out what does your journey look like? What do you want your journey to look like for 2023? And it doesn't have to be a long journey. Have milestones along the way, whether that be 12 milestones for the month or 4 milestones for the quarter. You know, like, think about that. And then at those milestones, what goal do you want to have happened by that milestone? You know, rather than, oh yeah, this time next year. No, that doesn't. No, that's not gonna.
Yeah,
if this is the first time you're doing it, this time next year is not going to work.
Yeah,
I can say that for a fact.
So how can, I mean, obviously you've got an upcoming. No, sorry, T, you had a question. Sorry, my bad.
My question was about discipline, because we're talking about mindset and these things here. But for me, like, yeah, discipline is a huge component to a lot of what you're saying. Yes.
Yeah, no, definitely. And you know what I always say? So I know I touched on it a bit about being a bodybuilder. That really, those transferable skills of being a bodybuilder, I say bodybuilding saved my life. Because it gave me a reason to get up in the morning. It taught me it really had to change my mindset with the bodybuilding, because I had to see myself in a different way. I had to protect myself from the energy of people asking me why I don't want to look like a man, what black woman, you know, has muscles. But when you go back to your discipline, you had to be disciplined to be on a journey for like 14 to 20 weeks or however long your prep was for your competition. And you know, at the end of that, you don't know at the end of that journey what you're going to look like, but you still have to be disciplined to get up in the morning, go to the gym, eat the right foods. I will go out and I would used to take my food with me. I'm still prep my meals and weigh my food. And he's like, why do you still do that? It's just ingrained in me now. So that discipline is ingrained in me, and I transfer that skill now.
It's transferable.
Yeah, to my business. Like I said, and I always say as well, me prepping for a competition is like me opening up in my new business. Like, I don't know how many people are going to sign up for my courses or whatever, but I still have to put that work in. I still have to be disciplined to put that work in. And the same way with bodybuilding, I didn't know what I was going to look like at the end of prep. I didn't know if I was going to be good enough to step on stage, but that mindset again, going back to the mindset, I had to have the positive mindset that, okay, in the next 14 or however many weeks, 4 months, 6 months, I know I'm going to look good. I know I'm going to be stage worthy. I had to tell myself that before it got there. So that whole auto suggestion, that whole positive speaking to yourself, I had to keep talking to myself all the time. Again, same thing I do in my business. I don't know who's going to sign up. I don't know who's going to purchase my courses or my services, but I still put in the work. I still train. I still go on courses. I still teach really immerse myself in my business, because it's about the discipline, the consistency, you know, this, like, again, it's the same with the bodybuilding, like I say. So it's that whole, and that's why I call it my adversity, because me being diagnosed with a mental health illness was actually the best thing that have actually happened to me, apart from having my son, because it's just changed my whole life. Had to change for the better, because prior to the diagnosis, there was a lot of things that were happening in my life that I was happening but unaware of, it was like I was oblivious to lots of things in my life, that whether it be with relationship, whether it be with money, you know, I was drinking a lot. I don't drink anymore. So there's a lot of things that I had to leave behind that I wouldn't have left behind if, I don't know, I'm just assuming in hindsight that if I wasn't diagnosed and I had to just drop everything and start again. So, and even with that came discipline. I had to be disciplined in in knowing that this is the journey I'm going to go, and this is the journey that I have to go on, talking to myself, all right, I'm going to do this. One of the things I did I actually went for, I know this is something, but this again ties in with what we're talking about for the finances. I went for a job to drive the trains because I thought I needed money. That whole scarcity mindset thing. You know, I had to go and do this. Driving the trains had nothing to do with what I'm doing. It was not even, you know, it's not in an alignment. And I went through the test, got it. But then I had to talk to myself, like, why am I doing this? Am I doing this because I'm in a scarce? I was doing it because I was in that scarcity mindset. And when I started to talk to myself and believe in what I was doing and, you know, really ease the pressure of myself, I never had to take the job, you know, because I was able to say, okay, then let me put that energy into my business. You know, what service could I provide that's going to bring me in some money? And you know, and so that's the discipline that I had to have and that I maintain having. And yes, I do slip sometimes. I'm only human. But, yeah, sorry, I could go on all that.
No, I love it.
It's so like literally,
Inspiring.
I don't think you understand. It's inspiring, because now it's kind of helping. You know, it's helping me for sure to have a different way of looking at things for 2023. Because I was just like, okay, I want certain things to happen. And yes, I've written like my vision board. Yes, I've journaled and things. But I know it's that mindset. And I will say my mindset has improved, but there's still a lot of work to be done, you know. And I think it is definitely the conversations that I'm having, because obviously 88% of our thoughts is negatives anyway. And I was listening to like Louise Hay. She always says, you know, you're always going to get a negative thought, but when that thought pops up, you just say, thank you for sharing, you know. So you're not denying the thought, but you're not acknowledging it. You just say, thank you for sharing, because you always, you know, like sometimes we say, I'm going to stop thinking it. I'm going to stop thinking it. I'll stop thinking it. What's going to happen? You're going to keep on thinking about the same thing, isn't it? So it doesn't actually go away. But rather than trying to dismiss it, address it, and actually says, thank you for sharing. And I kid you not, every time I do that, even though I don't do it regular enough, the thought changes, because then it becomes a different thought, whether it's a positive or a negative, but it's not the same thought. Do you get what I'm saying? So it is really just being really aware about yourself, aware about your thoughts, aware about what are you actually thinking, what are you actually affirming to yourself, what's the words that's coming out of your mouth, you know.
And that's something that what you just actually said is something that the mental fitness boot camp that I run, that's exactly what it goes through. Like I mentioned about our saboteurs that we all have, you know, but at the same time, we also have something called our sage perspective. And so every negative can be turned into a positive, you know. And the gentleman that's the CEO of it had an interview with a lady, trigger warning, someone whose child was killed in a car accident, but by a drunk driver. But she was able to then turn that into a positive by then working with other parents, families that the same thing has happened to them and supporting them. And so even though that tragic thing happened to her, and so his point was to say that negatives can be turned into positives, and that's just by how we use our sage perspective. And that's called the sage perspective, which there's different areas. Are we going to explore how we're going to change things? Again, that's another modality that I can go into a lot about, but it's on my website.
Would you be sharing some of this on your upcoming webinar, which is taking place this Saturday?
It may come up, but I'm just sitting here thinking that I'll talk to you off here, but there's so much things that are going on in my head that I want to, like, obviously, I don't know. I won't say it because then I have to commit to it. But I'm sitting here thinking that I could, and I'm not here to sell anything, so that's why I don't actually want to say it. So I'll put a link up. If you click on the link and there's something that you want to do, if I can get a certain amount of people, if I can get 10 people, then I would do it at like a ridiculously low rate. And because I just want people to be able to try, because these things you have to try it to experience. You have to experience it, and that's another thing that I was able to do. I was able to say, all right, I don't know how this works, but I'm going to give it a go. Like, I'm just going to try, and I'm glad I did. because it's really, like, again, it's giving me that narrative to be able to say, okay, this negative thing has happened. How can I use my sage perspective to turn it around? And yeah, it just gives you that narrative to take the ownership off you. So I don't know how we got here, but yeah, because of what you said, sorry. There's so many things going around in my head from this conversation. It's like, yeah.
Mine too, and I was just like, wait until we're off air.
Like, yeah, well, I'll wait till we're off air, see what you ladies speak, and then we can do something if you wanted to.
Absolutely.
Like, but like I said, I don't want to say anything now because this is not what I'm here for. I'm here about my journey and goal setting. So I don't want this to make into a sales call because it's not that. Yeah. No.
Team, you got any?
Yeah, no, my mind is off with Andrea's on possibilities. So I'm going to bring my mind back, discipline.
But I just answered that question actually on Saturday. Saturday again is just to inform people about, like, our health is our wealth, and just encourage people to have these conversations and just to dive a bit more deeper into the trauma of money. And we've all been through some form of trauma, and I always say that everybody's load is different. You know, they say either say big T, little T trauma. Trauma is trauma, and what is big to me might be little to you, vice versa. But when we have these traumas, it does have a big knock-on effect when it comes to our finances. And so just having those, again, it's about having those conversations, the conversations that we don't have as a, you know, I don't know, I didn't specifically say it's for the Black community, but these conversations we just don't have, we just don't talk about, like how our trauma affects our finances, how our finances then affects our mental health, or is it the mental health that affects our finances? It's different for everybody. So, but again, it's just conversation. And I've got other things in the pipeline that I want to do, like have monthly meetups about our finances, because again, having been in a room with like-minded people that are doing that goal setting, that these monthly meetings are actually for goal setting for our finances. Like if you're in business and you've got to do your accounts of the month, or just in general, if you just want to look at your accounts every time you get paid and, you know, organize your payments, being in a room with other people that you can have these conversations with and just discuss is so important. And like we said, holding things in our head is not always is the right thing to do, but just you know, and just having meetups and just being in the same room as people is just, it just raises, you know, that happy endorphins, and you just I think it's just, sorry, I'm
Don't apologize. You're raising the energy, raising the vibration, and this is what it looks like, everybody.
Like, so, it is, and this is just
supposed to go for it.
I'm just here. And my point is to doing these talks is just to show people that it is possible. And again, just to caveat, I'm not where I'm still on my journey, but I'm in a better place than what I was. I've got my support system. My inner child is happy because, you know, I'm rebuilding, I'm reparenting my inner child, and I'm doing the work. And so because I'm doing the work, I know it's inevitable for me I'm going to reach my goal, you know, and at the moment, I don't even know what that is. I haven't even set like a goal, but I'm just, again, this is why I give these ideas, because this is what I'm doing. I'm going to try out the 12-week year every quarter. What am I going to do differently? What didn't work? And so, yeah, man, it's a powerful, our mindset is a powerful thing. It could be our friend and it could be our worst enemy, but it's up to you which one you want it to be.
I love this. Yeah. I love this. Well, we've really kind of like gone over the time frame. It's almost 2 hours into the conversation. Wow. But it's been a really worthy conversation. So I'm going to share the link for this Saturday's upcoming event. So if you can just let our viewers and those who catch the replay know a bit more about this coming event this weekend.
Yeah, so December the 31st at 11 a.m. It's all on Zoom. And this is, like I said, health is wealth. If we haven't got health, well, then we don't have our wealth. Yeah, and having an understanding about our health. like I mentioned, our mental health, our the traumas that we may be carrying, and the conversations that we're not having. And if we're not having these conversations, that could be I wouldn't say making you sick, but it could be causing you anxiety because you're thinking about things. And that's how scarcity mindset and your judge is telling, your inner critics is telling you something. But then you hear me, or you hear me say something, you're like, oh, okay. So it's not just me that thinks that, oh, that is doable, that is fixable. So it's just attending just to hear these conversations. So it gets you out of that funk, it gets you out of your own head, and you have the opportunity to, to ask questions. And like I said, it's a course that I actually went on, like the Trauma of Money course. And so I'm just relaying back some of the things that I've learned on that I learned on that course, basically. And so it was 6 months course. So, it's a very valuable course, and there was a lot to learn. So yeah, just snippets of that, so this will be the first time that I've run it. So, if people do attend and they've got feedback, I know we haven't even done it yet, but this is what I'm all about. I'm all about, you got to try, you got to be in it to win it. And if I have that scarcity mindset saying, no one's going to attend, or why am I doing this? Who's going to want to know this? That's where I was. And so I had to speak myself out of that, talk myself out of that to get to the point where I am today. So again, I didn't just come in to say, it's taking me time to get to this point. But I'm saying, as I said, about December the 31st, I didn't even think about it. I was just going to do it. I just put it out there,
Amazing.
See what happens. So just attend. And like this, I didn't know what this conversation was going to be like. And, we've turned into a 2-hour conversation.
I know, right? I believe I'm going to be there. I'm just going to check my diary because I've got gym.
And if you're not, I will send, if you sign up, if you sign up, you will get the replay. So even if you're not able to attend, I didn't know what time to do it that was good enough for everybody. So I just said, I think 11 o'clock. Saturday, 11 a.m.
11 o'clock is a great time. Yeah, I could do it because I will finish spin about 9. So I can be home for 10:30, ready to come on the Zoom. So I'm going to sign up. And how much is it for the
It's free.
It's free, guys. We love freeness.
It's free. The journals, the downloadable journals, free. The Saturday's free. If you look on my Insta page, I've literally just posted a reel with some end of year money mindset journal prompts. Tomorrow is going to be mindset journal prompts, and then Friday is going to be some mental health journal prompts, just to get you started. Again, it's about that self-coaching. So it's all about trying to get people aware and having those thoughts and asking themselves these questions to hopefully provoke something, not anything negative, but to provoke something to get them moving in that right direction.
Miss T, you going to attend?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
I didn't have anything planned apart from lying in my bed. So yeah, why not?
Lie in our bed and be on 2 minutes and just get educated and shit.
There you go.
You don't even have to have a camera on. Just listen.
Yeah.
Just take it in. Ask questions.
You can lay down and go sleep and make the subconscious mind just open.
Well, it's not exactly hypnotherapy, so that don't work the same way. But yeah.
Oh, okay, well, I just put out there.
But just come in and just listen. And like I said, if there's something you want me to add or you want to know more about, I've got to start somewhere, like I said. And so I may do it as a year that I could change it up a bit. But again, it's just to show people who starts off anything perfectly. So, and it's free.
I love that. Yeah, I will definitely be sharing that information with my podcast as well. That information will be in the description. It takes a little while for this live to process and then become live again. So once that's available to us, we will then put it out there. I don't know if there's any other comments or anything. I don't think there is. It's just that people are just listening and I guess just absorbing all the information. And so Miss T, do you have anything to add, because we're going to be wrapping up now? 5 more minutes.
No, it's just been a pleasure to see this shining ball of energy, sunshine, everything. Like, I'm just inspired by the smile. Everything's just popping off. So if you want to look like this, everybody, you need to get onto what Andrea's doing, innit? Because it's working.
Absolutely. I definitely need to come on to everything that Andrea Corbett is doing, because we had a conversation almost 7 years ago and my smile don't look like that. I want to look like so. Me just want to look popping all the time, 24/7. You know what I'm saying?
But remember what we said, it's not a 24/7 thing.
No. But I will make it 24/7 because I'm just like that, innit? Even when I'm vexed, I'm just gonna be like, yeah, I need to practice because I've got that I wouldn't say BITCH resting phase, but I will say I'm not able to I find it really difficult to not show my emotions on my face. So if I'm vexed, you see that I'm vexed. If I don't really like you kind of know it shows on my face. Like it's peak. You get what I'm saying? I don't
think that's anything to do with. I don't think that's actually a bad. That's just you. But as long as you know when you're. But to be fair, I have had to change that.
And I'm quite mix up as well.
Mix up.
No, but I am kind of mix up too. Like.
Oh gosh, you just remind me of something you said on the last one. So yeah,
that's why your mind. That's why you have. That's why you work on your inner self, because I feel like that the work that I've done on my inner self is like exuding out of me now, like, because I am truly content within myself. I can sit by myself, I can be in the house, but before I would have to be out on the street, not out on the street like that, but like out raving or out doing this. And again, I'm not criticizing anybody does, but I'm just saying from my journey, that's what I felt I needed to do. But because I've worked on the inner self and I'm happy genuinely happy within, and like I said, my inner child is happy. I'm building a relationship with my dad, my mum, you know what I mean? It's just and my son first and foremost. You know, it's just doing that work.
Yeah.
First and foremost, and again, that has come from my mindset, because I could have had the mindset, well, I don't talk to my dad. I didn't talk to him for how long. I was in that mindset, but I had to twist it, because it's like, yeah, at the end of the day, this, that, the other, just sort it out, you know. So, and that came from the work that I've done inner here, in my body, mind, and soul, and heart, and everything. So, you know, it's a journey. I always say it's a journey.
You want to say holistic journey, because that was what came to mind in terms of everything that you're doing. It's holistic. It's like you have kind of like looked at every area and been like, yeah, boom, we're going to tackle that, and now I'm going to tackle this one. And that's what life is, isn't it? It's ongoing. It's not practice makes perfect. It's progress. Whatever we're doing, whether you fail, because if you don't fail, you won't learn anything. So it's progress.
Definitely. Now, yeah, it's holistic. That's why I said at the beginning, I'm a whole person life coach, because it's hard for me to say, oh, what do you do? Because it's like I've changed my title so many times. Like I don't even know. I'm Andrea Corbett. I'm a life coach that can specialize in X, Y, and Z. Like I can literally help you with anything. So the clients that I have now, like I mentioned, we're on a 6-month journey, because we're looking into so many different areas of a person, of their life, because it's just, they're going to come out of it. I've got clients that we're going to start actually next week, but they've had a couple of months just with having chats and so on and so forth, and they're like, I can't wait. They're even just with the chats that we're having, they're not really coaching calls, they're just having a chit chat, like over a cup of coffee kind of thing, and they're getting value out of it. Just having that accountability, someone to talk to, someone trusted that they can talk to, in that safe, non-judgment environment. And you know, they can resonate with my story, and those are the kind of clients that I attract. Mainly Black women that can resonate with my story and seen the change in like along my journey, and that's what they want. That, yeah, it's just, I don't know what else to say.
I think you said it all.
You said everything that needs to be said. So we are now going to. Really, we are real.
Yeah.
The show has now ended,
We've done 2
everybody. But we will continue our conversation with Andrea Corbett after this conversation. You know what I was thinking maybe we should start doing Patreon so people can get those off after conversations. So you subscribe to it and you pay a certain membership fee and things like that, and then you can get the insight of the conversation, but that link would not be available to everybody. It's only be available to those that's got the Patreon account. So that's something where I'm thinking about for the new year. I'd have to find out how to do it, but
it's easy. It's not that like Patreon is not that. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Like I said, just you put it out there now, so you got to do it.
Yeah. Mate, I was trying to done with the Now Chat show. Like
again?
I was trying to done with the Now Chat show.
You tried.
Yeah. I've been trying for like the last how many years now?
No.
Let's have this conversation offline. So this is what they would have got. They would have got. They would have got.
Yeah, they were going to tea, but they're not going to get the tea because yeah. So, Andrea, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom. Thank you for putting on the webinar that's going to be coming up this coming Saturday. So that is going to be 11 a.m. That's great GMT time. I was just about to say something else. And so do make sure you do get the link, which is going to be in the description. It's in the comment as well, so you can always get from there. And thank you ever so much for being with us this evening. And we know we've gone into your bedtime, so we are very, very grateful.
But I'm so when I get into this space now, it's like I'm all excited. So I was really tired at the beginning, but now like this is pure. The energy that is evoked in me is amazing.
Amazing. All right then, guys. So thank you for tuning in. And on Friday we are still we're planning to have our last show. Today was supposed to be the last show. So we're going to be talking about goal setting in relationships. Goal setting relationships.
Well, I don't know. That sounds all right.
That sounds all right, isn't it?
It sounds all right. Yes, because there's a lot of people that want to be in relationships that aren't in relationships. So we need to have a conversation about it.
Because, like people do vision boards, you can do one for the type of, like writing out the type of person that you want to meet, who do you want to be with, really getting down to the nitty gritty details of what they look like, how do you want them to act. And so that's literally goal setting.
Okay, so what we're going to do on Friday, guys, in case you wasn't here at the beginning of the conversation, we're speaking to Kenny on, and he was basically sharing about some of the challenges that some of our men are experiencing. There's words on the street that men are really scared to approach the female for various different reasons. One being because of fear of rejection, intimidation, and there's a bunch of other lot of things that they're going to be discussing. So we're going to kind of say it's kind of confirmed, but it's not kind of confirmed because we've got to speak to certain individuals who comes with certain expertise that we would love them to be on the show. Otherwise, it's just becoming like a conversation. It just becomes like we need somebody that's going to come with something to kind of like direct it slightly. So look out for that. We will confirm everything, I would imagine, by say Thursday evening or by Friday. So do keep it posted. Do tell a friend to tell a friend. And until next time, peace out. One love. I'm Kazmak.
Miss T.
Andrea.
And the lovely.
All right. Peace out, everyone.
Bye.